I liked paint and um, so I should I should start. Maybe you should cut it. I've been working as a product designer for 3 years, and it's a really great job title, job also, because you have to make solution every time. You have to think about people for what you are doing that. For example, like maybe 5-6 years ago, I worked like a graphic designer at agency. So I did a lot of ads, outside ads and banners, business cards, logotypes. I created maybe 200 logotypes, but it was mostly like not so interesting for me. And I have a fine arts degree, and that's why I moved to graphic designer, because very similar skills needed, like typography, composition, color theory, and so on. I have to do a lot of work that not related to design at all. For example, as a product designer, I have to know about analytics. I have to know about my users. Not only I have to know what are problems they have. I learned about human behavior, how people see, how people think, how people make decisions, and it's also very important for product designer to do my work better. I can feel about the audience who are using this product, because we have like small contact, every time I get hundreds feedbacks about features, about product, about whatever, and we always stay in touch, and it's great. That's why I love it, because I know if user like it or not, and that's why I love to be a product designer.
Great. I think that is a great insight, right? Like the difference between creating a graphic design and a product design is that product design has users, and users can love their products, right? And if you love it, feel like you own it. Like I love using Slack, so it's almost like every time they have an upgrade, I'm either loving it and I'm telling everybody about it, or if I don't like it, I'm ready to write an email to them that these are things that are not working out. It's very important for users who love a product to they feel like they own the product and they want to tell what works and it doesn't work. But that doesn't happen much in graphic design.
When I was at school, I already know that I want to be a designer. I didn't think a lot about my future as a developer or someone else. So I already know that I want to design, I want to create something new. It doesn't matter if it's graphic design. At that moment of time, it didn't matter for me.
How different products like Google Draw or Wix, they use a lot of interesting AI elements and to actually make a designer's life easy. And at the end of the post, you had a question. You asked people, do you think AI is going to replace designers? What's your take on that? Like, what do you think AI will be used for in design?
AI will not replace designers. We should know that. And it's like our tool for us. So it's like helping hand. So with AI-driven platforms, even non-professional can easily design without any hassle. So yes, AI can take care of routine things, and AI can generate different design concepts, color palette, font combination, composition. So in other words, AI can build a whole user interface. You can only define a task for this AI. For example, we know a lot of platforms who are using AI. For example, publishing tool such Medium, Wix, Readymark. So they have smart templates. You don't need to spend a few months to create a website. You can do it just a few days. For example, with Airbnb, The algorithm analyzes hand-drawn sketches and builds a graphic user interface based on that. So you can do only a few sketches on a paper, and the rest of work will be done by algorithm. Also, like logotypes, I think they called
that logotypes. They create all these little logos, right? Different styles.
Yeah. It's like logotype generator. So you don't need to hire a logo designer. It saves your time. Even if you're designer, you can do logo on this platform because it's not an ad, okay? But you can do this logo because it's much faster. I won't say that it doesn't work very good, of course, but it's just a beginning. So I think in a few years, we will get really great tools that will create logo as a professional designer. So these examples are good how we can use AI to help us. Also, like Google Autodraw, I mentioned it in the post, you can just create few sketches and they will be like
they give you all the examples, right? Like if you draw a box, they ask you, like they give you all the examples. Is it a box? Is it a
yeah. You can create an icon with it too. For example, you just draw something very ugly, and after that you will get a great icon. And it's very simple. You don't need to be a great UI designer. You can do something very bad and get a great result. That's why AI is, I think it's a great way to make our life as a designer much easier. So AI works like an assistant for designers, so you can focus on ideas and creativity while AI is doing our routine work. Yeah, I believe maybe in a few years we will use AI in our daily work. It will not something very new. It's just for work. Like now we are working in Sketch or maybe Adobe XD, Figma, yeah. But in a few years, maybe we will have some AI-driven tools that will help to do the same work, but much faster.
Just like I think I wrote to you about that. Like in Netflix, they have an augmented system. The cover arts and the trailers that I see on Netflix are very different from what you see. And all of that is personalized and made using their Netflix augmentation system. So that's exactly what you mentioned, Alex. They have a product or a tool that actually creates based on different users, many different cover arts for their series, for their episodes. They even make trailers, teasers, and instead of somebody in their creative team actually doing everything, what they do is they choose the good ones and they edit them and they take it out live. So that's exactly
what I love how Netflix try to innovate in this field in the AI. We now user problem. Huge amount of user requests say to us that it's a real problem, so we don't need to prove that with user interview on this step. In the next step, we'll share our knowledge, all this data that we have, this problem to our algorithm, like we will feed them. And AI do competitor research, first of all. Like a designer, AI can identify top mobile apps with similar feature, with similar text editor tool, make screenshot, bunch of script shot, and collects them in some folder and share with you. So you can check and see like competitors. So you don't need to do that because I think it's very easy to do because we have Google. AI with Google can search for competitors, can find. We have like sensortower.com when we can find any application and get to know about downloads, price, whatever. So next, for example, artificial intelligence already know technical requirements because developer knows these requirements, so everyone knows the requirements. Why AI should know, of course. And also AI have an access to our design system. Like big brands like Instagram, they definitely have design system, so we don't need to design at all. And then we just press the button and get 10th variation of that feature of text editor tool based on competitor research, based on our design system, based on similar mobile apps who have this feature. And AI can generate for us 10th variation of composition alignment for this feature with different text styles, prioritization. And on that step, we can do some corrective. For example, repeat the task and one more time, okay? Or approve that for test. It's the same with Netflix. We can just reject or approve that. Do we like it? Yes, okay, why not? And then AI will conduct like ABCD testing with these concepts in our live application. So we don't need to do usability testing with our phone because AI can launch that live in Instagram application, and some part of audience will get this and we will know the best options, the best variation.
Competitor research, using AI, you can find out all different, even for, let's say, Riddle, right? You can say that, hey, these are all the different calendar applications, and AI can do a research. But you, as a designer, you can also say, but also add, the design language or elements from something like an Instagram or something, or the design language of Airbnb, and mix it together and see what comes out of it for a calendar system.
I think one of the greatest AI things that it can test millions times. So you shouldn't do quantitative research methods because quality is always important. But in other ways that AI can do any qualitative research that is focused on insights because it's about human behavior, and AI is just the algorithm that do some mathematical work. And in that example, you have to do it on your own.
A lot of times you don't know how people will react, and there is no precedence for it. For example, most common example everybody uses, if Henry Ford had asked people, what do you need? They would have said faster horses, not cars, right? Because people just wanted to go from, one place to another faster, and they never knew that a car exists. So when there are things that people have never encountered before, and we want to see how people will react to it, maybe an AI system will not be able to imagine, but we as humans can, because that's what we're good at. We can imagine stuff.
I think AI can be creative so much so because they use only basic data and that and that's it. So, but you have to think more and you have to talk user to get some insights. It's about qualitative research.
All tools, at some point, you as a user, you want control. Whether you use that control or not is different, but you do want the control, right? So in this future, where do you think are the parts where you would want to tune your AI software? Where would you have the controls?
I don't want to control AI if AI do routine work. Of course, it will be great to delegate some routine job to AI. But the same with a car. I can drive by myself and be super careful about the situation on the road. I have to look around all the time and on the road, traffic lights, sign, pedestrian, or I can just sit in self-driving car and just relax and enjoy the trip. So, of course, I don't want to have a control in this example, but it depends on situation also, because if we're talking about some insights or creativity, I have to control that because I should be creative in that moment.
How much do you think in product design and visual design is a text and copy and what you write, the captions that you write, the labels that you write, as important as how it looks, right? What do you think? How do you balance that out?
I'm not so good at English, and I'm not a native speaker. I try to speak more fluently, and the same with writing. I'm not an expert. I do mistakes every time, a lot of mistakes, and I try to write it and I try to check it every time with Grammarly, and also use reverso.com and other tools to do it. So I think it's the most difficult part for me to check my grammar, maybe. honestly.
That's what you were saying, right? AI is going to help non-designers design, just like AI is helping non-English native speakers write good grammar.
Yes, it's great. It's also about AI. AI assistant can translate our language. For example, if you are from whatever country in the world, and I can speak on my native language, and you can speak English or Chinese or Japanese or whatever, and it will be great. And I know it's just a really feasible thing, because some companies trying to do hearable devices that can translate in real time, and it's already here. So I think we just need to improve it, and we will get it. Maybe we will have some feature in Zoom that can translate to other language or in Chinese, and it also will be great.
Imagine traveling. Oh, that'll be a breeze. I can live anywhere in the world, and it wouldn't matter, because people will have that device in their ears, and I can just speak. What are your recommendations for the go-to, I would say, apps and software for product designers?
Honestly, pen and paper.
The human brain.
It really doesn't matter.
I think why people fight around over tools is because I think anything creative has been very tool and operator, right? Like traditionally, you have to use really hard tools like Photoshop, or I don't know before that what it was, to actually create anything, right? And I guess because your hand was so important, the tool became an extension of your hand when we moved to software, when we moved to digital content. And that's why people fight a lot. And it's also because people fight about products, Alex, because it's just as you said, if you love your product, you fight for it, right, as a user.
I have all these tools, and I have much more, like tool for prototyping, for animation, and it's very complex to have all of them. I don't want it. I want to just to have one tool that will handle all this stuff. That I want to prototype, animate. I know that Adobe XD can do it, but it doesn't work well right now. Maybe it will work well in the future, I don't know. But a lot of tools are, and it's also for beginner in design. So it's also hard. And also always designers ask me, what tool should I use? But I don't know what to answer, because it really doesn't matter. But they want to learn something to become designer, but you shouldn't learn how to use tool to become designer. You should to learn much more information, how to, about typography, composition, color theory, psychology, product management, analytics, whatever. But it's not the most important thing, I think.
Every designer or content creator, and nowadays with everybody being remote, everybody is almost like a solopreneur. So what would be that Iron Man suit for somebody in design?
I believe that this assistant can help us to manage your time. Like if you want to finish the project on time, you have to work 1 hour more per this week. If you want to get rest on the weekend, you have to do it faster and whatever. So it's like natural language. So this assistant can help you, but like a human. So you don't need to push any. For example, I have like management tool, but I should to unlock my phone, open this tool, like set up some project, and always every time I have to check it, my time, and write it down. It's very hard. I don't like it. But if I get an AI assistant that can help me, so I just, hey Siri, but Siri can't do it now. I just want to be free on this weekend. Can you suggest how can I deal with all this stuff, because I can't do it. And I can say, oh, maybe you shouldn't do that because it's not so important, but you should do something else. And oh, thank you so much. Okay, and it's like a human. So I think, and the same, like AI can handle like accountant role. So I shouldn't calculate taxes every time. So also this like assistant can pay taxes for you. And
I would love that.
yeah. One more like crazy idea. So AI can simulate your voice and even generate video with your like answers that you already like write it, and just answer on simple questions on your behalf. Like, for example, I'm not here. Here's my just image, like generated by AI, and it already works. I know few examples how like fake news. Do you know that? Like, you can generate video based on just on only one image. And it's also great. I want to use this, and maybe the next time my AI assistant will talk with you. AI can help you to achieve your goals. For example, you have a blog and you want to write a new article. I will recommend you most popular topics that your audience will like. I will recommend you books and articles on that, and will help to promote your post to the right audience. It's also good. The same as we mentioned about personal translator, that you can set up a call with client from China, okay, and AI will translate everything in real time. I think it's a really great thing, and like bunch of really important tools will help us to handle all this work as a solopreneur.
It's already so easy to get anybody to work with you across the world, but it's still sometimes difficult with certain parts of the world and other parts of the world because of the language constraint. But that goes out.
We already don't have borders because of the remote work, but some of them have borders because of language. So if we will remove that borders, it will be perfect for. Maybe we will ruin Chinese wall and some other countries. And if you ask me what time zone do you use, it doesn't matter for me. I can use your time zone and just set up my AI assistant for you, and that's it.
Why do designers end up having some freelance or other projects? Every designer I know will always be doing something else too. Why?
I love to do something. I want to create new application. It's very interesting every time. I love to talk to different customers. I already talked with 10 artists about their problem, and it's also interesting. Some artists from New York, from San Francisco, Los Angeles, and every time I got insights from them about our product, and great. I love to talk with people and to get something new, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm a product designer. That's why I love to do research, and almost all my posts related to user research. They are not related to UI at all, because I don't believe a lot in UI. Sorry guys who UI designers, because AI always change and every time. So today user interface doesn't look like 5 years ago, but user research techniques the same all the time. 20, 50 years, human behavior don't change at all, and that's why I like psychology and I like research, because it's like very fundamental thing that I try to teach it, but I am not a super expert in that area. But I like that, and I like to learn about it. I like to read about research and methods, and I like to share it with my audience. And yeah, that's my point.
I've never thought about it that way. That's very true. The human behavior and why people do something or why people do not like something will remain the same. The packaging, which is the UI, might change, and it doesn't matter, right? So if you're fundamental right, you will always have the design right.
That's why I don't have many posts about UI and have to make a perfect button with perfect color, perfect shadow, perfect text, styles. It's really a matter for now, but it's not so. I'm not sure that it will be very helpful. For example, 10 years after our podcast, designers explore this Instagram profile with how to create great button, but it doesn't work at that time because everything around in AR, and why should I do this not so very beautiful button?
you've made me think about a few things which I've never thought about. More importantly, about I think the last thing that you mentioned about how user research stays, but the UI changes. I'm telling you, I had so much fun and I learned so much.